Yeah, the best way you can destroy a people, you take away their ability to reproduce themselves.
Yeah.
Who is it that's dying out here on these streets every night?
The context of that line, published in 1991, was speaking of gang violence, drugs, and alcohol running rampant in predominantly black communities in Los Angeles, California. The context of that line, if written today, would speak less of drugs and alcohol, the same of senseless violence, and would include the divides we are currently experiencing between men and women in our communities across the nation. I don't think we truly understand the damage that has been done and the true ramifications of it. And it's continuing right now as I speak. As I speak the need for us to come together and build upon the things we can agree on, the common ground that we have come to, there's someone coming up right now speaking on the need to drift further apart. Maybe I believe too much in black love. Maybe I believe too much in black people. Or maybe they didn't listen to the same Bootsy Collins as I listened to. Because I distinctly remember that brother singing, "I'd rather be with you, yeah. Yes, I'd rather be with you." But as with any other topic, my opinion is no more valid than anyone else's. Over the last few years, there's been a number of high-profile incidents that highlight these issues. I mean, people celebrated a man's passing, for goodness sake. But I don't think there's been a better example of division in our community than what was shown when Ice Cube went on Cocktails with Queens, a show featuring a panel of black women, and used their platform to promote the Plan for Black America. And one of the panel members spoke of how the plan doesn't include language specific to black women. And when Ice Cube said black women are a part of black people, all but one of the panelists spoke to object. They literally saw themselves as being a separate entity. And what was very telling is when Cube told one of them to write it up, there were no takers. See, you can't have this mindset of we're our own people, but then look towards the people that you're distancing yourself from to write up your part of the plan, to protect you, to guide you, or support you in any other manner. And no, these women do not speak for all black women. However, they do share the sentiments of many. It was a startling jolt of reality. 2 years ago, Britney Griner was detained in Russia for having less than a gram of cannabis oil in her luggage. She was sentenced to 9 years in prison, spent nearly 10 months locked up abroad. And when her release was secured, there were men in our community upset that she had been traded for a Russian arms dealer they had never heard of. Tell me again why you didn't vote for Joe Biden? 94 crime bill. A gram of rock got sentenced differently than a gram of powder? Your cousin did, Tom? So you can see that your cousin suffered a clear injustice. And you wanted that sister to suffer the same for no other reason than the fact that she's a sister. And you got a bone to pick with black women. I don't give two fucks about what Russian they had to give up. Bring that sister home so she can be with her wife. That woman got kids. Fuck y'all talking about. She should have had the backing of every black person on this planet. But no, what we got from some brothers was, that's what she get. Can't be out here just doing whatever. The laws are different. Let me tell y'all a quick story, man. A couple weeks ago, I was in Atlanta for Electrical Workers Minority Caucus annual conference. This year was special because it marked 50 years since EWMC started. We were in Atlanta to honor Sister Robbie Sparks, the black woman who co-founded the organization. Well, during the last plenary session, we had a few resolutions to vote on. One of the resolutions would add an index to the back of the bylaws and would add Pacific Island Americans, Southeast Asian Americans, 2S LGBTQI+, and a few other things to what was already considered as minority: African Americans, Hispanic Americans, women, persons with disabilities, etc. We had 2 microphones set up, one for the addition, one against the addition, and a number of people got up and spoke their piece. Well, one sister, whose nationality I'm not sure of, got up and spoke her reason for being against it. She said, I'm the L in the bundle of letters, and I'm against it because this is the Electrical Workers Minority Caucus. Everyone's already included in minority. When we break down what minority is, all we're doing is dividing the room into subgroups. And that defeats the purpose. The next thing you know, people are going to want to be recognized as gods and goddesses and leprechauns and a bunch of other shit. I had no plans on voting either way until she spoke. And I voted against it for that reason. Because I feel the same about black people. Let's do a little math. There are 47.9 million people in this country that identify as being black according to the Pew Research Center. 30% of that number are below the age of 20. So we're only going to deal with the roughly 33.5 million people that represent those of us that are 20 years old or older. 52% are women. That's 17.4 million women. And we'll round up to 16.1 million men. Let's go education. The latest number I came across had 36% of our women earning an associate's degree or higher as of 2021. That's 6.26 million women. For black men, our number is lower at 26.5%, leaving us with 4.24 million black men who have an associate's degree or higher. And this is why I said only a little math, because I didn't have to go any further. We went from 33.5 million people to 18.6 and 12.6% of that, respectively, by only using gender and education. I didn't even have to mention income or relationship status or whether or not they're parents and if they have multiple children's mothers or fathers or, whether or not they've been married or not, they own a home or a business, what their official designation is, are they black, African American, American descendants of Africa, etc. These are all things we use to separate ourselves socially. And the more things we add, the smaller our numbers get. The more we divide ourselves, the less impactful we become. Or as we say in the Union, united we bargain, divided we beg. That's why it's easy for Marvel to fire Jonathan Majors over a fucking misdemeanor. They only had to deal with a small percentage of black men being outraged. It's easy for Oprah or anyone else to shortchange Taraji. Only black women of a certain status are going to be up in arms. Let me end it by saying this. The women had the higher percentage at 18.6. I'll round that up to 20 just to keep everything simple. I'd rather have 10,000 $1 bills than have $2,000 in blue faces. I'd rather have a full tank of that 87, or as my cousin O would say, that cheap shit, than have a fifth of a tank of 93. I'd rather have a full month supply of ground beef, chicken, catfish, and hot links than have just 1 week supply of prime rib, king crab legs, scallops, lamb chops. And when I throw my hat up in the air, I'd rather have 100 black people of different backgrounds, education, income, and personal achievement levels than have just 20 people that have the same credentials as me show up to defend me on that dock. Everybody say they keep it 100. Well, let's keep it 100 then.